The research station floated in the quiet of deep space, its silver walls glowing faintly against the stars. Inside, humans and aliens worked side by side, trying to understand strange machines left behind by an ancient race. Among them was a young human engineer named Ryan, curious, hardworking, but sometimes careless. He had been sent to check one of the storage rooms where alien devices were kept. Ryan always felt nervous when walking among the tall, proud aliens. Their skin shimmered with light, their eyes glowed faintly, and their voices carried a natural authority. He was smaller compared to them, a visitor in their world. Many aliens thought humans were weak and clumsy. Ryan tried to prove them wrong every day. That morning, the station buzzed with quiet energy. Alien scientists whispered around a glowing machine with strange markings. It looked like a round crystal sphere, connected to long silver rods. Blue light pulsed inside it like a heartbeat. The aliens avoided touching it, for they did not understand its function. Ryan, however, felt drawn to it. He stepped closer, his hands brushing the cool surface. One alien girl stood nearby, her figure slender yet graceful. She was assigned as a junior assistant, though her rank was higher than Ryan's. Her name was Soraya. Her skin glowed with soft violet tones, her eyes like twin stars. She usually kept to herself, calm and serious, but today her gaze followed Ryan with a mixture of curiosity and worry. "Do not touch that," one of the alien supervisors warned sharply. "We have not tested it." But Ryan's hand had already pressed against the sphere. The machine pulsed brighter, a wave of energy rushing through the room. Everyone gasped. Soraya, standing too close, staggered back as light wrapped around her body. The energy sank into her form, twisting and reshaping. For a moment there was silence. Then the Ruta erupted in whispers and gasps. Soraya looked down at herself. Her body had changed, her curves had grown fuller in an instant. Her face turned bright red, her glowing skin unable to hide the embarrassment. She covered herself with her arms, her voice trembling. What happened?" Ryan froze, his heart pounding. He had not meant for this. He only wanted to study the machine, not cause this strange accident. I didn't do anything," he stammered, but his words sounded weak against the shock of the room. The aliens around them began to murmur. Some laughed quietly, others whispered with suspicion. "The human touched it," one hissed. "Only the human. And look what it did." Soraya turned her face away, but her blush only deepened. Her people were proud. They valued control and dignity. To lose composure like this was rare. To be changed physically in front of others was humiliating. She wanted to vanish, but all eyes were on her. Ryan stepped forward, guilt burning in his chest. "I swear, I didn't know. I thought it was safe," he said. His voice shook, but he tried to sound calm. "Please, she's not hurt, is she?" The alien supervisors looked at the sphere, then back at Ryan. They tried touching it themselves, but nothing happened. The crystal stayed dark, silent, as if asleep. Only when Ryan's hand neared did it begin to glow again. The truth was clear. This ancient device responded only to humans. The room grew tense. The aliens exchanged uneasy glances. What did it mean that this human could control something beyond their reach? Was he dangerous? Was he chosen? Or simply a mistake of nature? Soraya, meanwhile, stood trembling, her hands still trying to cover herself. Her eyes met Ryan's for a brief moment, and she saw his fear. He was not mocking her. He was not proud of what had happened. He looked as lost as she felt. That thought calmed her heart a little. Though her cheeks still burned, one of the scientists finally spoke. "Take the human away. We must study this. We must know why." Guards moved closer, their steps heavy against the floor. Ryan raised his hands nervously. "Wait, please, it was an accident. I didn't mean to." But his words fell unheard. The whispers around him grew louder, filling the air with doubt, suspicion, and excitement. Some aliens already believed he had discovered a hidden weapon. Others thought he had cursed the girl. A few even looked at him with fear. Soraya wanted to speak, to say it was not his fault, but shame held her tongue. She could still feel the weight of the energy in her body, the way it had forced a change she had never asked for. Still, in the back of her mind, a question burned. Why did the machine answer only to him? Ryan was escorted out of the room, his head spinning. He looked back once more, his eyes meeting Soraya's. Her face was still red, her lips trembling as if she wanted to say something, but she stayed silent. That silence was heavier than any words. As the door closed, Ryan's thoughts raced. This was more than just an accident. The device was ancient, powerful, and now everyone knew it had chosen him. Somewhere deep inside, he felt a spark of fear, and another of destiny. And in that quiet fear, the story truly began. The station was never quiet after the accident. Whispers moved through the silver halls like an invisible storm, everywhere. Ryan walked, alien eyes followed him. Some were curious, others cold, and a few were filled with fear. He was no longer just a human engineer. He was the one who touched the ancient machine and changed Soraya in front of everyone. Soraya herself could not escape the memory. She stayed in her private chamber, her hands trembling as she stared into the mirror. Her violet skin still glowed faintly. Her curves changed in ways she did not ask for, and her heart refused to calm. She had trained all her life to appear controlled, proud, and untouchable. Now on. A careless touch from a human had broken that image in front of the entire research team. She pressed her palms against her face, her cheeks still red. Her people did not blush easily. But she had, and everyone had seen it. She could not face them. Yet the image of Ryan's eyes haunted her. He had looked at her not with pride or amusement, but with guilt, fear, and something else she could not name. The Alien Council demanded answers. The machine had stayed silent after Ryan was taken away. They brought other aliens to touch it, even high-ranking officers, but it did nothing. Only when Ryan was near did the sphere glow, humming like a heart that recognized him alone. "Why him?" one elder asked, his voice sharp. "What connection does his kind have with our ancestors?" Others argued. Some said humans must be destroyed before the truth spread. Others whispered that humans might be the missing key to forgotten powers. All agreed on one point: the boy could not be ignored. Meanwhile, Ryan was locked inside a glass chamber, not as a prisoner, but not free either. Guards stood at the entrance, their tall bodies glowing faintly in the dim light. He sat on the floor, his head in his hands, replaying the moment again and again. Soraya's shocked face, her hands rushing to cover herself, the sudden burst of whispers, the glowing machine. He hated himself for it. He wished he had listened. He had touched something he should not, and now he had embarrassed her. He could almost hear the way the others laughed behind her back. He had made her life harder, not easier. Then, late at night, footsteps echoed outside his chamber. A soft figure appeared. Soraya. Her eyes were shadowed, her face still pink with shame. She should not have been there, but she had come anyway. Ryan stood quickly. "Soraya," he whispered. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean—" "Stop," she cut him off, her voice trembled. "Link, do not say it again. I know you did not plan this." Silence stretched between them. Ryan watched her, her arms hugging herself as if to hide. She avoided his gaze, but he could see her blush again, not as strong as before, but still there. "I cannot escape their voices," she said softly. "They call me weak, they laugh, they think I am ruined." "You're not," Ryan said quickly, stepping closer. "They're wrong. You're strong, stronger than any of them. I saw how you tried to stand tall even when—" He stopped himself, afraid to remind her of the moment. Her eyes flicked to his, glowing faintly in the low light. For the first time since the accident, she did not turn away. Instead, she whispered, "Why did the machine choose you?" Ryan shook his head. "I don't know. I'm just an engineer. I was only curious." But deep inside, Soraya felt something more. The machine had not just reacted to him, it had reacted to her while she was near him, as if the two of them together had created a spark. She did not want to admit it, but she could not ignore it either. Before Ryan could say more, alarms echoed through the station. A deep red glow filled the halls. The guards at the door shouted, running past, "Unauthorized ships approaching. Enemy signatures detected." Soraya's eyes widened. Ryan stepped back, heart racing. This was no accident. The timing was too perfect. Someone wanted the machine, and they were coming for it. Soraya turned to him, her voice firm despite the fear in her chest. "Stay close to me, human. If they take you, the machine will follow." Ryan swallowed hard. "And if they take the machine?" Her answer was quiet but heavy with dread. "Then our entire station will fall." The alarms continued to echo through the massive station. Shadows of alien ships moved outside the glass walls, their sharp outlines glowing against the stars. The enemy had arrived, not by accident, but with purpose. They wanted the device, and perhaps they wanted the human who had awakened it. Ryan was rushed out of his chamber by guards. Their glowing armor reflected the red warning lights as they pushed him through the halls. The air was tense. Every alien they passed whispered his name. The human, they said. The key. The council gathered quickly in the central chamber. Soraya stood there too, her face still touched with embarrassment, but now covered by a mask of determination. She was no longer the shy assistant. She was a witness to the machine's awakening, and that gave her importance. The elders spoke with sharp voices. The enemy knows. They come for what only he can control. If they capture him, the device will belong to them. Ryan felt their stares like knives. Some wanted to protect him. Others wanted to throw him outside as bait. He could read it in their eyes. To them, he was not a person, but a tool, a danger. Soraya stepped forward, surprising everyone. Her voice was firm, though her heart raced. We cannot treat him like an object. He did not choose this. He did not want this power. Her words created a wave of murmurs. The council was divided. Some agreed with her. Others accused her of weakness. Her blush returned under their judgment, but she held her ground. She would not let them destroy him. Not again. Suddenly the walls shook. Enemy ships had fired. Lights flickered. Alarms grew louder, and the station tilted slightly as impacts rocked its hull. Bring the human to the lab, one elder commanded. Let him touch the machine. Let us see if he can use it to defend us. Ryan's blood ran cold. He had no training, no idea how to control it. But he had no choice. Guards pulled him toward the research chamber once more. Soraya followed close, her eyes never leaving him. Inside the lab, the glowing sphere pulsed as if it had been waiting. The closer Ryan came, the brighter it grew. Ancient symbols lit up across the walls, unreadable to the aliens but alive with means. Touch it, the elder ordered. Ryan hesitated, his hand trembling. Soraya stepped beside him, whispering softly so only he could hear. Do not be afraid. I believe in you. Her words gave him courage. He pressed his hand against the crystal, and the machine came alive. A surge of light burst outward, filling the room. Every alien shielded their eyes, but Ryan felt the power rush through his veins. The enemy ships outside froze mid-flight, energy fields surrounding them. The machine responded to his will, holding them like insects in amber. Ryan gasped, his heart racing. The power was overwhelming, but it listened to him. The council stared in shock. Some whispered in awe, others in fear. He is too dangerous, one shouted. If he can stop ships with a thought, he can destroy us as well. Ryan pulled his hand back, the light fading. The enemy ships regained movement, firing once again. He collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. I can't hold it, he gasped. Soraya knelt beside him, her hand gently on his shoulder, her face still warm with embarrassment, but now mixed with admiration. You did more than any of us could. You are not a curse, Ryan. You are our only chance. The council's voices rose in argument. Some demanded his destruction. Others demanded his protection. But above their noise, the alarm screamed louder. The enemy was breaking through. Soraya leaned close, whispering so softly only Ryan could hear. They will not protect you. If you want to survive, you must protect yourself, and I will stand with you. The research chamber was silent after the light faded, but the silence was not peace. It was heavy, filled with fear, questions, and anger. The council members argued loudly, their glowing robes shifting as they pointed toward Ryan. Some called him a savior, others called him a weapon. Ryan sat on the cold floor, his chest rising and falling fast. His body still trembled from the rush of energy. He had never felt such power, and he had never felt so out of control. It was not strength he owned, it was strength. Bond that borrowed his body for a moment. He was afraid of himself. Soraya stayed by his side, her hand gently resting on his shoulder. She ignored the stares of her people, ignored the whispers about her shame. She had been humiliated before them, but now her voice carried more courage. She could not let Ryan stand alone. One elder finally spoke above the noise. We must study him. The machine answers to him alone. His blood may hold the key. The decision was made quickly. Ryan was taken from the chamber into the medical wing. Strange alien devices scanned him. Glowing threads of light wrapped around his arms, reading his DNA. He felt like an insect trapped under glass. The results shook the scientists. Ancient markers, long forgotten by their kind, appeared in his blood. Patterns connected to the lost builders of the device. Patterns no alien carried anymore. Only this human. "This is impossible," one scientist whispered. "The builders vanished before humans even walked their world, yet his blood carries their mark." Ryan's mind raced. "What does that mean? Am I one of them?" "No," the elder replied coldly, "but you may be their echo. Their legacy hides inside you, and now it threatens us all." Soraya's heart pounded as she listened. She had studied the builders since her youth. They were legends, creators of wonders, and feared across the stars. If Ryan truly carried their spark, then everything about him changed. He was no longer just a clumsy human engineer. He was something that should not exist. Later, alone in the corridor, Soraya found Ryan sitting against the wall. His hands covered his face. "They look at me like I'm a monster," he whispered. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't want it." Soraya sat beside him, the glow of her violet skin soft in the dim light. "You are not a monster," she said. "You are different. But sometimes difference is what saves us." Her voice shook, but her words were firm. She remembered the way he had stood, trying to protect her even after embarrassing her before everyone. He had not mocked her. He had not used his new power to make himself greater. He had only looked afraid, and that made him human. Ryan looked at her, his eyes tired but searching. "Why are you helping me after what I did to you?" Her cheeks burned again, her blush returning. "Because I saw your eyes. You were more ashamed than I was. You did not want to hurt me. And that means something." Before Ryan could reply, the station shook again. Enemy forces had breached the outer defenses. Explosions echoed through the halls, red lights flashing. The war was no longer outside. It was coming inside. The council demanded that Ryan be kept under guard, but Soraya made her choice. She pulled him to his feet, her grip firm. "If the builders left their power in you, then maybe they left it for this moment. We cannot run from it. We must use it." Ryan's heart pounded. He did not want this destiny, but Soraya's voice lit a fire in him. He nodded slowly, fear mixing with determination. "Then we face it together." And so, in the middle of chaos, the hidden connection between human and alien grew stronger. A connection of blood, of fate, and of trust. A connection that would soon shake the galaxy itself. The station trembled as enemy fire rattled its shields. Alien voices filled the grand chamber where the council gathered. Their glowing eyes turned again and again toward the human. Ryan stood at the center, his hands bound by light chains. Though he had not resisted, he was not their prisoner, yet not their ally either. He was something in between, something they feared. Soraya stood beside him. Her violet skin glowed brighter under the tension of so many eyes. She felt her blush threatening again, but she forced it down. This was not the time for shame. It was the time for courage. One elder slammed his staff against the floor. "This human is dangerous. He commands powers that none of us can control. If the enemy takes him, we are lost. If he stays with us, he may turn against us. The safest choice is to end him now." Gasps rippled through the chamber. Ryan stiffened, his heart racing. He wanted to shout that he was not their enemy, but his voice caught in his throat. Another elder stepped forward, his robe shimmering. "No. If he truly carries the spark of the builders, then he may be our only chance. Destroy him, and we destroy ourselves." The council divided instantly. Shouts echoed. Voices clashed like swords. Some demanded Ryan's death. Others demanded his protection. None trusted him, but none could ignore him either. Soraya stepped forward, her voice rising above them. "You speak of fear, but I speak of what I have seen. He did not seek this power. He did not use it for himself. He risked his life to protect me. He is not our curse. He is our shield." The chamber went silent. Her words carried weight, not because of her rank, but because of her truth. The elders stared, some in disbelief, others in anger. One whispered, "She defends him, even after the shame he brought her." Her cheeks heated again, but she did not lower her gaze. She stood tall, refusing to back down. Ryan looked at her, his chest tightening. He had thought she hated him for what had happened, yet here she was standing against her own people to protect him. It filled him with a strange mix of gratitude and something warmer. Before the argument could continue, the floor shook violently. A deep explosion roared through the station. The enemy had broken through. Alarms screamed. Red light bathed the chamber. Soldiers shouted outside the doors. "They are inside. Protect the device. Protect the human." The council erupted in panic. Elders shouted orders. Guards drew their weapons. Ryan's chains dissolved as the guards rushed him forward. "Move him to safety. Do not let the enemy. Take him." But Ryan stood still, his fists clenched. "Running won't save you. They will chase me no matter where I go. If I'm the key they want, then the only way is to fight." The elders froze. His voice carried power not from authority, but from truth. They could not deny it. Soraya moved closer, her hand brushing his arm. "If you fight, I fight too," she whispered. Her face flushed red again. But this time it was not shame. It was fire. The elders shouted in disagreement, but the decision was no longer theirs. The enemy was here. The human they feared had become their only chance. Ryan turned toward the lab, toward the glowing device that still pulsed with life. His fear burned inside him, but so did a new strength. He was no longer just an engineer, no longer just a mistake. He was something more. And as Soraya walked beside him, her eyes filled with determination, Ryan realized he was no longer alone. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The halls of the station shook as the enemy broke through. Red alarms flashed across the walls, and the sound of heavy boots echoed closer with every second. Soldiers shouted, weapons fired, and the council chamber became chaos. Ryan and Soraya were pushed toward the lab by guards. The device pulsed from afar, glowing brighter as if it felt his fear, as if it was calling him. Soraya ran beside him, her voice urgent. "They will not stop until they take you. You must use the device again. It listens to you, not to them." Ryan's chest tightened. He remembered the last time he touched it. The power had nearly broken him. He had stopped enemy ships for a moment, but it had drained his strength like fire consuming dry wood. He was afraid that if he touched it again, it might burn him completely. The enemy burst into the outer halls, tall, armored figures with glowing weapons. Their voices were harsh, filled with hate. "Seize the human, take the key." The guards fought, but the enemy pressed forward like a dark wave. Soraya grabbed Ryan's hand and pulled him through the last door into the amber of the device. The crystal sphere glowed like a star now, humming loudly, filling the air with vibrating energy. "Ryan," Soraya said, her voice shaking but her eyes steady, "this is not an accident anymore. This is destiny. If you run, they will destroy us all. If you fight, you might save us." Ryan looked into her glowing eyes. Her face was close, her skin shining violet in the light. Her blush rose again, but she did not turn away this time. She gave him courage with nothing but her presence. He placed his hand on the sphere. The crystal flared with blinding light. The room shook as the machine awakened fully. Ancient symbols burned into the walls, and a wave of energy rushed outward, slamming into the enemy soldiers. Outside, corridors lit up as enemy weapons shut down, their armor flickering. Their voices cried out in confusion. The device bent reality around Ryan, and for a brief moment, he felt like he could control everything. The walls, the ships, even the stars beyond. But the power was dangerous. It pulled at him, trying to take more. He felt it burning his veins, whispering in his mind, offering strength but demanding his will. He could feel himself slipping, drowning, becoming something not human. "Ryan," Soraya shouted. She grabbed his arm, her touch grounding him. "Don't lose yourself, stay with me." Her voice cut through the storm. He gasped, pulling back slightly. The light dimmed and the whispers retreated. He had not been consumed, not yet. The council members who had followed into the lab stared in awe. Some bowed their heads, others shrank back in fear. One whispered, "He is no human. He is a builder reborn." But Ryan shook his head, his voice firm though his body trembled. "No, I'm not a builder, I'm just me, and I will not be your weapon." The enemy outside roared again, pushing harder. The device pulsed violently, almost as if it was alive. Ryan realized the truth. The machine was not only a tool, it was also a prison that wanted to make him its master or its slave. Soraya stepped closer, whispering, "Then don't fight for them. Don't fight for the council. Fight for us. Fight for yourself." Ryan looked at her, the fear in his chest shifting into fire. He nodded, pressing his hand harder against the sphere. The crystal responded, sending waves of power directly at the enemy lines. This time, Ryan guided it not with rage, but with focus. The enemy ships outside were forced back, shields collapsing under invisible pressure. The station shook, but it did not fall. For the first time, they had the upper hand. Soraya stood beside him, her face glowing, her heart racing. She felt the power too, not inside her, but through him. She had never imagined a human could carry such strength. And yet here he was, trembling, struggling, but refusing to surrender. And in that moment, she no longer saw him as weak or clumsy or embarrassing. She saw him as something more, something greater, something worth believing in. The danger had awakened, not only in the device, but inside Ryan. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The station floated in silence after the last wave of power struck. Enemy ships drifted broken in the darkness, their weapons shattered. The halls of the station were filled with smoke and sparks, but the defenders still stood. The impossible had happened. One human had turned the tide of battle. Ryan collapsed against the glowing sphere, his chest burning. Every part of his body shook. His veins still carried fire from the device. His eyes struggled to stay open. He had fought not only the enemy, but also the machine itself, and both had nearly broken him. Soraya knelt beside him, her violet hands pressing against his shoulders. Her eyes glowed faintly, her face flushed with heat. "Stay with me, Ryan. Don't let go," she whispered. He looked at her, his lips dry, his voice weak. "Did we win?" "Yes," she said softly. "Because of you." But the council was not silent. The elders stepped forward, their voices sharp and divided once more. Some spoke with awe. "He carries the spark of the builders. He must be honored. He must be our new path." Others spoke with fear. "No, he is too strong. He will destroy us all. End him now, before it is too late." Ryan's tired eyes flicked toward them. He could hear their words. Words that judged him not as a person, but as a tool, a curse, or a weapon. He wanted to shout, but his strength was fading. Soraya rose to her feet, her voice stronger than ever. "Enough," she cried. "He saved you. He saved all of us. You looked at him with fear, but when the enemy came, it was his hands that held back the fire. You call him dangerous, but you forget. Without him, we would already be dead." The chamber fell silent. Every elder stared at her, shocked by her defiance. Her face was red, but she did not hide it this time. Her blush was no longer shame, it was fire. Ryan smiled weakly, hearing her voice cut through the storm. For the first time since the accident, he did not feel alone. But the machine pulsed again. The crystal sphere glowed as if alive. Ancient whispers filled Ryan's mind once more. They offered him power beyond imagination, the ability to crush fleets, to command stars, to reshape the galaxy. All he had to do was surrender fully. His hands trembled, his breath quickened. He could feel himself slipping. His humanity was a thin thread ready to break. "Ryan!" Soraya shouted, grabbing his hand, her eyes locked with his, glowing against the burning light. "Don't listen to it. You are not a builder. You are not their weapon. You are you, and that is enough." Her words struck his heart. He looked into her eyes and saw not fear, not judgment, but trust. Trust. He thought he would never earn again. Slowly, painfully, he pulled his hand away from the sphere. The light dimmed, the whispers faded, the machine fell silent once more. The elders gasped. They had expected him to take the power to rise as something greater. Instead, he had chosen to remain human. That choice frightened them more than anything else. Ryan stood weakly, his body trembling, his voice cracked, but his words were clear. "I am not your weapon. I am not your curse. I am only myself. And if I saved you tonight, it was not because of that machine. It was because I refused to let it control me." Soraya stepped to his side, her eyes glowing brighter. "And I refused to let him stand alone." The chamber was silent. Some elders bowed their heads, others turned away in anger, but none could deny the truth. They owed their lives to the human they once mocked. Outside the station, the stars burned quietly. The enemy had fled, leaving behind only wreckage. Ryan and Soraya stood together at the viewing deck, watching the endless void. She looked at him, her face soft, her blush faint but warm. "What began as an accident," she whispered, "has changed everything." Ryan nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on the stars. Maybe it wasn't an accident at all. And in that moment, the story of a human engineer and an alien girl born from one careless touch became something greater. It became the beginning of a legend.